It's morphin time. Pterodactyl.
Hi there, this is Datila with 3 years of wrestling being the It's Wrestling Time potion. For tonight, I will be reviewing Monday Night Raw. Alright, so tonight's Monday Night Raw kicked off with the Miz TV segment featuring none other than Cody Rhodes. Wow, I actually really dug this segment. I know normally Miz always says pretty much always says the same things on Miz TV, but this one was actually really interesting. Uh, I noticed before I get into it though, I did notice that the crowd reacted very positive to Cody Rhodes. They've been chanting Cody, Cody. Of course, Miz was said that if Cody wasn't the grandson of a plumber, he'd just be a plumber, which I thought was hilarious that he said that. And then that starts a Dusty chant, Dusty. And Cody, one of the things that he says that to cut the, and he stops himself, but he says that we know what he meant, which I thought was hilarious. Michael 101591 says, I was surprised. I actually liked a Miz TV segment, didn't fall asleep through it. Yeah, this was a really good Miz TV segment. So, Cody then says Miz hasn't changed at all, and that he's in his good role. He's reliable. And Cody asks if he still looks the same. I really like this next part where Cody says he's here to win the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion title or Universal Championship belt. And oh my god, one of the things that was so hilarious was that Cody calls it a belt. And the Miz quickly corrects him and says, it's a title. A belt holds your pants up. I thought that was hilarious. And Cody says that, Miz says that we all know where Cody Rhodes has been the last 6 years. And Cody says that Miz is threatened by him and that he will gladly give the Miz a rematch. And that he came back to be a wrestler. And the Miz quickly corrects him and says superstar. So I thought that was so hilarious. Like, I actually really, really dug this time. This is such a fun, great way to open Monday Night Raw. Michael 101591 saying Cody using non-WWE terms there. Yes, he did. But I wonder, are his promos scripted or are they unscripted? Like, do they know what he's going to say? Like, I wonder if the Miz correcting Cody was all scripted or if that was just like on the fly. I liked it though. I really did. But so I actually want to see more of the Miz and Cody Rhodes. I know a lot of people on Twitter were not happy that Cody's facing the Miz, but Miz is not a terrible wrestler. I actually enjoyed the match, but more on that later. So next we had Dominick Mysterio versus Veer Mahaan. Correct me if I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure they were advertising it as Mysterio versus Veer Mahaan. I don't know why they changed it last minute. Michael 101591 saying they are all scripted. I can tell. Oh, really? Okay. So that makes it interesting. So this was Veer Mahaan's big in-ring debut after 7-8 months of him coming to Monday Night Raw. Last week he finally showed up, made a statement, and now this was his in-ring debut. This was essentially a squash match. Like, Veer Mahaan dominated Dominick throughout this whole match. I don't think poor little Dominick even got some offense in. Of course, Veer Mahaan wins this by submission. And then, he won't break the submission on Dominick. So more security needs to come and break it up. Chris, movies, and more. Veer time. Veer for Hall of Fame 2022. 2023, most anticipated debut of all time. So after this, you could see Dominick get wheeled off in a stretcher, and then Veer says he wants to strike fear in the hearts of everybody. Michael 101591 says the script I can tell was written through the night. Even the women's tag titles was scrapped. Yeah, definitely. You could tell there was a lot of changes done tonight, that being one of them, this being the second thing. But I'm actually kind of surprised they did not go the usual face a jobber of the week type of thing with Veer. Maybe they'll go there eventually, but I mean, they were hyping him up for months, so I guess it's better that he make an impact than go the usual route. But what do you guys think? You guys think it was a great idea for Veer Mahaan to make his in-ring debut against Dominick in dominating fashion, or should he have faced the usual jobber of the week until we moved on to something else? So next we had AJ Styles versus Damian Priest. We've seen this match before, granted, but this was not a bad match. I was actually digging it and enjoying it until the end. Typical WWE booking. So at one point, Priest sends AJ Styles over the rope, and then he gets down on one knee, and like the lights go out, and then it cuts to commercial. Then we come back and we find out that was it. AJ's backstage and he said that he was questioning what that BS was. He's not done with Priest and he doesn't care with anyone. He doesn't care what Edge or anyone else does. No one is stopping him from getting his hands on Edge. So this is a great match. Terrible way to end it. I have no idea why they did that. I thought Edge was going to come out, but nothing happened. You literally end the match and then it cuts to the back. So completely pointless. Priest turned into a vampire in the end. Your Priest. Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, great match, crappy ending. Then we had Cody Rhodes versus The Miz, which this was a fantastic match. And Seth Rollins did come out and he was watching the match. I really like the back and forth stops between both men that they did. Cody cutter from the middle rope. Of course, Cody Rhodes was victorious. But one of the things I'm really surprised is that this match had a clean finish. Even though Seth Rollins was at commentary, did not get involved or intervene in this match whatsoever. So I have to give props to WWE for doing that because I would have been annoyed if that happened. Priest Taker, I don't know what they're doing with him. Yeah, same here. So good on for WWE for not having this a screwy finish. So at the end of the match, Seth Rollins enters the ring. And he says that he thanks Cody for all the kind of things he said about him earlier. And of course, he challenges Cody Rhodes to a rematch, and it's going to be Rollins versus Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes part 2, probably at WrestleMania Backlash because Cody Rhodes accepts. So I'm actually pretty excited for that match. Their match at WrestleMania was probably hands down my favorite match of the entire evening. So next, we get a backstage segment with the debuting Tommaso Ciampa. MIB GIF insert right there because he's been on Raw before. So I have to say, good thing about this segment is that Tommaso Ciampa kept his first name, kept his last name. He's not just Tommaso, he's not just Ciampa, and he's not something weird. Like they allowed him to keep the name Tommaso Ciampa, which is props for them. Give you that, at least for right now. I don't know, maybe somewhere down the road he'll just be Tommaso, or maybe he'll just be Ciampa. I don't know, maybe I spoke too soon. We'll see. But I really like this because Kevin Patrick is interviewing him and welcoming him to Raw, and then Ezekiel shows up and he welcomes him to Raw. Then Kevin Owens shows up and says that Ezekiel's a liar. He's going to prove it that it's Elias. He just doesn't have a beard and a guitar. And he tells Tommaso Ciampa that's Elias, and Tommaso Ciampa tells him no, it's not. It's Ezekiel, which I thought was hilarious. This was a very hilarious segment. Michael 101591 says, "Don't get too excited. They will change up Ciampa's name soon. Well, don't put that evil out there. Give it time. He'll be Tommy Ciampa in no time." Why are you guys putting that evil out there? Don't do that. Seriously, don't. So then we get Liv Morgan versus Naomi. So clearly this was not, like Michael 101591 mentioned earlier, this was not in the original script because Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley were supposed to challenge for the Raw Women's Tag Team titles tonight, but that didn't happen. It's happening next week. So this wasn't a bad match. It was an okay match. Of course, Naomi wins. So it's 50-50 booking. Liv Morgan defeated Sasha Banks on SmackDown. So here we have Naomi defeating Liv Morgan. So I probably means that they'll lose. We all know what WWE will do. It's not being evil. Yeah, that's true. All right. So Bobby Lashley segment. Okay. So it's supposed to be the MVP lounge, and you get Bobby Lashley come out. It's basically saying that he wasn't invited, so he invited himself. And then he said last week was supposed to be a celebration of his victory against Almost. He went to hell and back in his match. And then he basically challenges MVP to come to the ring. At least he's going to destroy the lounge. MVP comes out and says that he will bill Bobby Lashley for that lounge. And he starts talking about, he starts speaking on Almost's behalf. He says that Almost is learning how to be a businessman. And he tells Lashley he should be thanking him because when he came back, Bobby Lashley, he helped Bobby Lashley win the WWE title. So before I go any further, I have to say I'm really glad and Almost has a mouthpiece because Almost cannot talk. He cannot talk. He cannot cut a promo. So I'm really glad he got a mouthpiece. It didn't necessarily have to be MVP. Could have been somebody else, but I'm actually kind of glad it's MVP. MVP and Almost work very well together, at least in my opinion. MVP is a good talker, so that's what he needed. That's what Almost needed. He needed a mouthpiece because I could not understand him, and he could just not talk. And what happens when a wrestler cannot talk? You give him a mouthpiece. Perfect example. So basically, MVP says that he made Bobby Lashley, and that now Lashley's trying to act like he didn't need him. Lashley says that MVP came back to WWE and for his final run, for his farewell tour, and it wasn't until he strapped himself to Lashley that he became something again. So I actually really like this, you know. And MVP says that Bobby Lashley will survive. Bobby Lashley barely survived his first match against Almost, and now he's not going to survive the second one. So let me see. Michael 101591 says MVP is not going to help Almost. I feel like. Well, Almost is still pretty green, but the thing is, he needs a mouthpiece. Like I said, he needs a mouthpiece. He needs someone that can talk and advocate for him. And Paul Heyman is taken, so. Then MVP was a better choice. So it seems to me like this feud is mostly more of MVP and Lashley than this Almost and Lashley. MVP feeling, I guess, betrayed by Bobby Lashley, saying that Bobby Lashley didn't need him, and MVP saying that he helped build Bobby Lashley, and Lashley vice versa saying that he helped build MVP. So interesting to see where this goes and how this ends. And then we get another backstage segment. I thought it was hilarious. It's Kevin Owens. So first it starts with Sonya Deville, Adam Pearce, and Austin Theory backstage. And he basically introduces himself as just Theory. He says him and Mr. McMahon don't think he needs Austin anymore. And then next week he's going to get a U.S. title match against Finn Balor. And I'm saying it right now, I would not be surprised if Austin Theory actually defeats Finn Balor and finally wins and becomes the United States Championship. I will not be surprised if that happens. So I think we should all just accept the fact that maybe next week Austin Theory is going to win. We need to accept that already. If you don't, you're just going to be disappointed when he wins. Although, hey, we might be in for a surprise and Austin Theory might lose, but the way that he's being pushed, and after Vince McMahon introduced him as future WWE Universal Champion, yeah, I think it's safe to say Austin Theory is going to defeat Finn Balor next week. But what I really like is that after Austin Theory leaves, Kevin Owens comes in and he says he wants to put Ezekiel through a lie detector test next week, and that he's going to pay for it. So it's actually, I'm digging Kevin Owens and the Ezekiel stuff. This is pretty hilarious, and I think with any other wrestler, it probably would have been cringe or stupid, but it works with Kevin Owens. It really works. I'm digging it, and also too, like, I'm curious to see what they do with Ezekiel. I mean, I was a huge fan of Elias, as you guys know that. I would like to walk with Elias, so we'll see what this Ezekiel stuff goes. But I'm digging the whole Kevin Owens Ezekiel stuff. Michael 101591 says, "Stupid again to change Austin's name just to Theory. I have a theory as to why they're changing names." Well, what's your theory, Michael 101? I want to hear it. I definitely want to hear it. Alrighty, so then we get Bianca Belair versus Queen Zelina. And it was an okay match. It was a pretty quick match. Of course, Bianca Belair is victorious. I mean, I don't think she's going to lose. So Sonya Deville comes out and says she has an opponent ready for Bianca and says that there's so many women who are vying for the title opportunity. She starts to name people like Alexa Bliss. It was a joke with the word theory. I get it now. I get it. That's funny. That's a good one, Michael 101591. And so you would think that WWE would bring back Asuka, or that maybe Alexa. I know Alexa Bliss just got married, so congrats to her. So but you would think that they'd bring back Asuka. No, they didn't bring back Asuka. They didn't bother with Doudrop either. So the person Bianca Belair is going to face in her first title defense, none other than WWE official Sonya Deville. Let me see. Michael 101591 saying, Ezekiel, if you've seen the name of the photos of Stu Pickles on Rugrats. Yeah, I have seen it. So is Sonya Deville coming back to wrestling, or is she gonna stay an official? Because now she's gonna challenge for the women's title. So is this gonna be like on SmackDown when she had that feud with Naomi? That was terrible, by the way. So what happens now? Like, what happens if she loses? Does she have authority? I don't know. I don't get it. But I did like her sick burn to Adam Pearce when she said, "Don't be jealous because you're not in your prime." I was like, oh, stop. Before I go any further, let me see. Michael 101591 saying it's going to be a rehash of Sonya and Naomi feud with Bianca. Oh, no, we cannot have that. We cannot have that. Bianca deserves better. She deserves better. If we get a rehash, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do. But before we go any further, we actually had two hilarious backstage segments. Well, I thought they were hilarious. People probably thought they might have been stupid. But one segment was R-Truth and Akira Tozawa and Reggie, at their bachelor party, and saying how R-Truth says that you shouldn't leave women alone, because especially Dana, because she's a 24/7 champion. And they're going to go crash their bachelorette party because it's a double bachelorette party. So that segment was hilarious. Then we see Dana, Brooke, and Tamina at their double bachelorette party. And then Nikki Ash tries to take the title from Dana. The supposed stripper was actually a referee. Tamina saves Dana from losing her title. R-Truth and the rest of the guys show up. R-Truth is an ordained minister, and we find out we're going to have a double wedding next week on Raw. And as we all know, weddings and contract signings in WWE never end well. So I have a feeling this is going to end in a complete and total disaster. That segment was cringe with the men and women's bachelor parties. I thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny segment. But hey, to each their own, and we're all entitled to our opinions. But anywho, so that's going to be a total disaster. Now I should continue with the review. So we get RKBro versus Alpha Academy, a match we've seen plenty of times in the last couple of weeks. Great match. No questions asked. This is a great match. Chad Gable saying that they heard what the Usos said on SmackDown. He said the only reason they're not tag champions is because WrestleMania was full of distractions, and he might be the smartest man on the planet. Otis has the confidence of a tree truck. And then the match starts, and of course RK-Bro is victorious, and then he cuts to the back and you see the Usos arriving. Michael 101591 saying the wedding segment for next week, take your bathroom breaks, everybody. God. Oh my God. So it wasn't a bad match. Again, we've seen this match before. So the Usos arrive and they confront RK-Bro, and they're basically saying, I think what Randy Orton says, he says he was beginning to wonder when they were going to show up, and that finally the big dog left them out of the leash. He said something else. It's 5-letter word that rhymes with which. And the Usos challenge RK-Bro to a unification match. Then the Street Profits come out and interrupt and saying that they're next in line for the tag titles, and the Street Profits will face the Usos after they take the titles off RK-Bro. So then we get this Street Profits versus the Usos. And this was a great match, great main event. Oh, I'm so glad this had a clean finish and it was not a DQ finish. It was just a clean cut finish with the Usos winning. And of course, holding up their titles at the end. Randy Orton giving an RKO to Montez Ford, and then Jimmy super kicking Randy Orton, and that's how Raw ends. So I have to say, let me see. Michael 101591 saying WWE clickbaited us again, thinking the Usos were going to unify the tag titles. That match ain't happening to WrestleMania Backlash, that's for sure. So I have to say, I think it's pretty obvious that they're unifying the tag titles here. They really are. They're going to unify them, and it's pretty obvious. You can see why. RKBro has faced Alpha Academy how many times now? How many times has RKBro faced Alpha Academy? One too many times. How many times have they faced the Street Profits? One too many times. How many times has the Street Profits faced Alpha Academy? Where the hell are the Viking Raiders? And why the hell were the Lutharios on Raw when they were SmackDown? I mean, I know it was a bachelorette party, but still, where? Why were they on Raw? So the men's tag team division is just as bad as the women's tag team division. So it's understandable why they want to unify those titles, because that division is pretty small. But again, where do you go from here? Roman Reigns being the undisputed Universal WWE Universal Champion didn't even show up on Raw. So what? So Roman is just going to show up on SmackDown? Like, is he even going to show up on Raw? Like, what's the plan with all of this? Like, are you going to end a brand split? Let me see. Chris, Movies, and More saying, as long as we don't get another Veer build-up to that happening, now that's clickbait. Michael 101591 saying, we need the tag team divisions to be merged in the women's division where there's only one women's title. I disagree with the women's division because it's bad enough that you're the same, only one person is going to be champion. You think a SmackDown is bad? If you think SmackDown is bad because Charlotte's champion, just imagine that there was only one title. Charlotte would hold on to that title for probably a long time. So, like, there are some divisions that do need to get unified. I said it last week. The women's division, women's tag team division, should merge with the NXT women's tag team division because the main rosters of women's tag team division is non-existent. They have enough women for a singles division, but NXT, they should merge with that one. Men's tag team, totally understandable because you don't have enough tag teams to have a tag team division. Actually, you have tag teams, but you split them up. You split up all of the women's tag teams. You split up the Iconics. You split up and release 2/3 of the Riot Squad. You split up Shotzi and Tegan Nox before they even challenge for the tag titles. You know, and Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, even though they had fantastic matches at WrestleMania, they were randomly paired together, and I actually like that pairing. You know? Who else? I'm trying to think. It's like there's not enough tag teams to have a tag team division in either men or women's. But aside from that, I guess that's all I have to say on that matter. But to give Raw a rating, I really like the opening segment with Cody Rhodes. I liked AJ Styles versus Damian Priest minus the finish. I liked Cody Rhodes versus The Miz. I really dug the Ezekiel KO thing. I liked the Street Profits versus the Usos. So that's like 5 things that I like. Surprise, surprise. Never liked 5 things, more than 5 things on Raw. Vince and Bruce Pritchard hate tag team wrestling. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. So honestly, I thought Raw was pretty decent. Decent to normal. Because last week was, So I'm gonna give Raw a 7 out of 10. It wasn't terrible, wasn't great either. But it was pretty decent. At least I think so. Michael 101 giving it a 1 out of 10. Hey, you're entitled to your opinion. Definitely want to hear what you guys give Monday Night Raw. But with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching and for your continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And as far as my live streams, I think I might do NXT tomorrow. I think I lost my WrestleMania prediction, so I might have to do NXT. But if I don't do NXT, I'll see you guys on Wednesday after Dynamite. So have a great night, you guys. Bye.